Hello friends, and welcome to our shared spiritual practice for the second week of Advent. Our purpose in the series is to dive more deeply into the mystery of Incarnation, not just as a concept or a theological idea, but as a way to expand our awareness and experience a deeper connection with God, with ourselves, with others, and with our world. So let's start. Take a few moments to center yourself. Focus on your breathing and on making it deeper and slower. Feel the air filling your lungs and bringing life into your body. And feel the cleansing as you exhale. Ground yourself in your space and on the earth. And prepare your mind and your heart and your body and your spirit for your practice. Remember that you can pause the video at any time if you need to stay with any element of your practice or reflection. And when you're ready, light the Advent candle for today. And sit in stillness and silence for a moment. You may want to gaze into the flame or just close your eyes, whatever is most meaningful for you. And now become aware of what's happening inside you. What thoughts are dominating your thinking? What emotions are you processing? What feelings in your body are significant for you in this moment? And what tasks that you need to do are pressing in on you? Take some time to write these things down in your journal, and when you're done, lay the journal and everything in it aside for the moment. We'll return to it later in our practice. I'll give you some time to do this. In my first years of faith, the creation story that I was taught sounded something like this. In the beginning, there was nothing but God. Then one day, God decided to create a universe. So God spoke. And suddenly, where there had been nothing but God, there was now God and light, God and water, God and earth, God and creatures, God and humans. There was God, and there were all sorts of things that were not God. There was the space where God was, and there was now all the space where God was not. God was outside of the universe, and the universe was outside of God. The story went on to speak about how in the Old Testament, God would sometimes enter the world where God was not usually present. And God's Spirit would come upon certain people for specific times and particular purposes. And then, when the purpose was accomplished, the Spirit would retreat back to God's realm. But then the day of Pentecost happened, and for the first time in history, God's Spirit lived within all who were born-again Christians, but not, of course, in those who didn't believe. But we needed to be very careful, I was taught, never to think of this filling of the Spirit as any kind of incarnation. The incarnation was a once-off event that only happened in Jesus Christ. He was unique, but he also wasn't. He emptied himself of all that made him God and was filled with the Spirit at his baptism, as we too can be. So everything that applies to Jesus applies to us, except that he was God incarnate and we aren't. Can you see how this story can become a little confusing and even contradictory? Can you see how hard it is to navigate a world in which God is separate but somehow still present? Can you see how this dualism creates a hierarchy in which the spiritual, non-physical world is seen as better, purer, more godly than the physical world? And can you see how such a spirituality can lead us to devalue our bodies, our desires, our basic physical functions, and even our very selves? I can't help but wonder if there's a better way to view the creation story that removes this hierarchy and invites us to recognize and experience the divine glory in all things and in all people, regardless of what they believe, who they are, what they have done, or what has been done to them. So what is this alternative creation story? Well, I hope it's okay if we do a bit of theology today. Feel free to go over the following content as slowly as you need to, or to return to this video through the week until you feel that you've grasped the magnitude and wonder of what I'm about to share. I'm really excited about it because this alternative story of creation is not just an interesting tale. It's a radical shift in how we understand and experience everything, from gazing at the stars to listening to our own heartbeat. The alternative creation story is one where there is no God and not God, where there is no space where God is and other spaces where God is not. As Richard Rohr so wisely says, God is either everywhere or nowhere. An alternative story of the creation of the universe is, in my perspective, a story of incarnation, of a first, primordial, eternal incarnation. Whatever may have existed in the mysterious reality before the Big Bang happened gave birth to everything, which means that the physical world is made of the same stuff as the original raw material for the Big Bang. And if we believe that God was there, then the universe is made out of the divine being. It's not that there was only God and then suddenly there was all the stuff that is not God. It's that there was God, and within God and containing God was the raw material of the cosmos. And when the Big Bang happened, it happened within God, and it happened containing God. It's not that there was suddenly a space where God was absent. I like to use a simple metaphor for this. You've probably heard me use it before. If I were to take a bottle and throw it into the ocean, the bottle would very quickly become immersed in the ocean. There is nowhere that the bottle can go that is not ocean. But at the same time, the ocean rushes in to fill the bottle, and there is nowhere in the bottle that ocean is not present. The universe is the bottle that is immersed in the ocean that is God, and it contains the ocean of God in every part. The theological term for this is panentheism. I've used that word before, and it means that everything is in God and God is in everything. It's not that everything is God. The whole is always much greater than any one part, but every part is contained in God and contains God in itself. Or to put it another way, the universe is the original incarnation. God is and always has been incarnate in the cosmos. And we would have to conclude that whatever existed before the Big Bang, whatever the raw material was that caused the Big Bang to happen, God was incarnate in that too. Long before Christ was manifest in human form, God was incarnate in the stars and planets, the gases and matter, the earth, trees, water, plants, animals, and even people. And long after the human Jesus has gone from the earth, God continues to be manifest in the universe and all of its parts, including you and me. Everything is incarnation, and incarnation is at the heart of everything. Great. So what does all this theology mean for us in a practical way? What difference does it actually make to our lives and our world? I'm so glad you asked. It means that everything is a physical manifestation of God, which then means that everything offers us an opportunity to encounter God and learn more about God and reality. Just imagine for a moment what your life would be like, and imagine what the world would be like if we all truly recognize the divine presence in ourselves, in others, and in the world. Is this not what Jesus was calling us to when he said, the kingdom of God can't be detected by visible signs. You won't be able to say, here it is, or it's over there. For the kingdom of God is already among you, or some translations say it's already within you. That's Luke 17, verse 21. If we believe this to be true, then one of the most important things we can do is to develop our capacity to recognize and honor the divine within ourselves, within others, and in our world. And that's what spiritual practice is for. I believe it's also what Advent and Christmas, the twin seasons of Incarnation, are for. And I challenge you to use every day of these seasons to practice looking for, identifying, and celebrating the divine incarnation within you, among us, around us, and everywhere. So let's sit with these thoughts for a moment. What has caught your attention today? What do you feel drawn to think about more? What do you feel excited about? What resonates with you? And what do you have questions about? You may want to make a note of these things so that you can carry them with you into the week. And now, as before, I invite you to go back to your journal. And on a fresh page, draw a circle for each of the thoughts and emotions and feelings and tasks that you identified at the start of today's practice. And they probably will be different from what you did last week. You may want to make the circles different sizes depending on your perception of the size and importance of each one, and you can make them closer or further away from each other depending on how they relate to each other. And when you've done that, and when you're satisfied with how your circles are positioned on the page and their different sizes, think about the ideas from today's reflection that most spoke to you. And draw a circle for each idea, each concept, each metaphor, each suggestion that resonated with you. And again, you can use different sizes and distances to depict how these things relate to you and to each other. And then when you've done that and when it feels right, draw lines to connect what you learned today with the thoughts, emotions, feelings, and tasks that you identified earlier. Lines to connect these things with one another and to see how today's reflection speaks into these areas of your life. Make a note of any significant insights that may arise. And again, I would suggest that you live with this diagram through the week. Return to it and adapt it as your experiences change as each day goes by. And now, as we bring today's practice to a close, I invite you to write 2 things in your journal that will carry you into your life and relationships in the week ahead. First of all, what one truth do you want to remember specifically and draw on and meditate on and carry with you through the week? Write that truth down. And then what one thing do you want to do to live from this truth in the week ahead? And write that down. And then through the week, remember to go back and remind yourself of these 2 things and of the other insights you've received from today's practice. And so now, as we return to our daily routines, may we go in a deeper awareness of incarnation. And may we remain open to experience incarnation more deeply each day, in ourselves, in those around us, in the world. And as we do that, may we move into a deeper encounter with the incarnate God.